Hello everyone, I'm glad you could join us today as we look ahead to what promises to be a fascinating and possibly unpredictable winter season. As we kick off 2026, the big question on everyone's mind is, what kind of winter is ahead? Will we see gentle flurries and mild temperatures? Or are we in for a season of surprises and extremes? Whether you're a winter enthusiast or someone who dreads the cold, these forecasts matter to all of us. For months, meteorologists have been closely monitoring long-term climate patterns and ocean atmosphere signals. Early indicators pointed to a milder winter for 2026-27, with less severe cold and fewer major storms than usual. These predictions were based on established trends, like El Niño and La Niña cycles, and the behavior of the jet stream. But as we all know, weather is never static, it's always changing. In just the past few weeks, new developments have emerged, forcing us to rethink those early predictions. Sudden shifts in atmospheric pressure and unexpected changes in ocean temperatures are shaking up the outlook. My team and I have been tracking these significant shifts in the global engines that drive our weather. From the swirling patterns seen on satellite images to the subtle movements of the jet stream, these changes are more than just numbers, they're signals of what's to come. These changes could have real impacts on your daily life. Think about your morning commute, the cost of heating your home, or even the price of groceries. A colder or stormier winter can affect everything from travel plans to your monthly budget. That's why we're diving deep into the latest science right now. Our goal is to help you prepare for what could be a very different winter than we first expected. We're consulting with climate experts, analyzing new data, and updating our forecasts to give you the most accurate information possible. In this series, we'll break down the new data, compare the latest forecasts, and explain what all these changes mean for you and your family. We'll look at how predictions have shifted, and what you can do to stay ahead of the weather. Understanding these evolving patterns is the first step to being ready, whether it's stocking up on supplies, planning your travel, or just knowing when to bundle up. Knowledge is your best defense against winter's surprises. So, let's unravel the mystery of winter 2026-27 together. Stay tuned as we explore what's coming and how you can make the most of the season, no matter what the weather brings. To understand why our weather can change so dramatically from year to year, let's meet the major players behind these shifts: El Niño, La Niña, and the polar vortex. These powerful climate phenomena work behind the scenes, shaping the weather we experience across the globe, often in ways that surprise even seasoned meteorologists. El Niño and La Niña are two sides of a natural climate pattern called the El Niño Southern Oscillation, or ENSO for short. They're driven by changes in ocean temperatures and wind patterns across the central and eastern Pacific Ocean. During El Niño, the surface waters of the Pacific become unusually warm, while La Niña is marked by cooler than average ocean temperatures in the same region. These temperature shifts might seem subtle, but their impacts are anything but. El Niño often brings milder, wetter winters to parts of North America, especially along the southern United States, leading to increased rainfall and sometimes even flooding. Meanwhile, the northern regions may experience less snow and warmer temperatures. In contrast, La Niña tends to bring colder, stormier conditions to the north, with more snow and ice, while the southern states can see drier, warmer weather. These patterns can also influence hurricane activity, droughts, and even wildfires, making ENSO a major player in global weather. These cycles, collectively known as ENSO, are key drivers of global climate variability. Their reach extends far beyond the Pacific, affecting weather patterns on nearly every continent, from monsoons in Asia to droughts in Australia, and even rainfall in Africa. But ENSO isn't acting alone. Enter the polar vortex, a vast, swirling mass of extremely cold air that sits high above the North Pole, encircling the Arctic like a giant icy crown. When the polar vortex is strong and stable, it acts like a barrier, keeping the frigid Arctic air locked up far to the north, away from the rest of the world. But if the vortex weakens or becomes unstable, sometimes due to sudden changes in atmospheric conditions, it can wobble and split, allowing that icy air to spill southward. This can trigger dramatic cold snaps, plunging temperatures far below normal in places that aren't used to such extremes. These disruptions are often set off by sudden warming events high in the stratosphere, which can destabilize the polar vortex and send shockwaves through the atmosphere, altering weather patterns for weeks at a time. The interplay between ENSO and the polar vortex is crucial for long-range winter forecasts. When both are active, their combined effects can amplify or counteract each other, making it especially challenging to predict what the season will bring. When both El Niño or La Niña and the polar vortex shift at once, the result can be a winter that's far from ordinary. Think record-breaking snowstorms, unexpected thaws, or even unseasonable warmth in some regions. This year, both ENSO and the polar vortex are showing signs of major change, setting the stage for a potentially unpredictable winter ahead. That's why meteorologists are on high alert, closely monitoring ocean temperatures, atmospheric pressure, and wind patterns to spot early warning signs of what's to come. Understanding these powerful forces and how they interact helps us make better predictions, prepare for extreme weather, and protect our communities from the unexpected. So, let's take a closer look at how these patterns were shaping up just a few months ago, and what they might mean for the season ahead. Earlier this year, the data pointed to a mild winter for 2026-27. Forecasts from major agencies, including NOAA, leaned on a weak El Niño or neutral ENSO phase. Historically, these conditions mean fewer deep freezes and less snow for the northern US and Europe. The travel industry, municipalities, and energy companies all welcomed the outlook. It suggested fewer disruptions, lower heating bills, and less stress on infrastructure. The science seemed clear and confidence was high. But, as any meteorologist knows, the atmosphere can always surprise us. And this year, it did just that. In recent weeks, we've seen dramatic shifts challenging the mild winter forecast. The tropical Pacific is cooling rapidly, faster than models predicted, hinting at a quick transition to La Niña. This change alters how heat and moisture move in the atmosphere, reshaping the jet stream. A La Niña. Jet stream often brings cold Arctic air deep into North America. Meanwhile, a sudden stratospheric warming event is destabilizing the polar vortex over the Arctic. When the vortex wobbles or splits, Arctic air escapes southward, triggering severe cold snaps. The combination of a developing La Niña and a disrupted polar vortex is a recipe for a much colder winter. Just months ago, this scenario wasn't even on the table. Now, it's front and center in our forecast. With these new signals emerging, meteorologists across the country are rapidly updating their winter forecasts. What once seemed like a straightforward season is now being rewritten in real time, as new data and shifting patterns force experts to rethink what's ahead. The science of weather prediction is always evolving, and this year is a perfect example of how quickly things can change. The earlier mild outlook, which had many people hoping for an easy winter, is now giving way to a forecast filled with colder, more volatile conditions for large parts of the continent. For millions, this means preparing for a winter that could be far more challenging than initially expected, with the potential for sudden temperature drops and hazardous conditions. Maps that once glowed with warm colors are now shifting dramatically, showing widespread cold, especially as we move into the latter part of winter. The change is striking. Areas that were predicted to be above average in temperature are now bracing for below normal readings, and the possibility of significant snow and ice. The synergy between La Niña and a weakened polar vortex is a key factor here. This combination opens the door for Arctic air to surge much farther south than usual, bringing frigid temperatures to places that might not be used to such extremes. These powerful forces in the atmosphere can reshape entire weather patterns in a matter of days. This doesn't mean relentless cold everywhere, but rather sharp swings, periods of mild weather suddenly interrupted by intense cold snaps and even blizzards. The unpredictability is what makes this winter especially challenging, as conditions can change rapidly, catching many off guard. The northern plains, Midwest, Great Lakes, Northeast, and even parts of Europe are most at risk for these dramatic shifts. These regions could see some of the harshest impacts, with heavy snow, ice storms, and dangerously low wind chills, all possible in the weeks ahead. This isn't a forecasting failure, it's a powerful reminder of how quickly the climate system can evolve, and how important it is to stay informed. Meteorologists are constantly analyzing new data, adjusting models, and working to provide the most accurate information possible. Our job is to update you as the science changes, so you can prepare your home, your family, and your community for whatever winter brings. Staying ahead of the weather is more important than ever. So let's take a closer look at what all of this means for North America, and how you can get ready for the colder days ahead. Here's how the new pattern could play out across the US and Canada. The northern US, from the Pacific Northwest to the Great Lakes and Northeast, should brace for a colder, snowier winter. Storms will track along this corridor, bringing frequent snow and reinforcing Arctic air. The south will likely be drier and milder, but occasional cold fronts could still bring damaging freezes. In Canada, especially the west and prairies, expect prolonged cold and heavy snow. Eastern Canada will also see more storms and below-average temperatures. The central US and Ohio Valley could see a volatile mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain. Knowing your region's forecast is more important than ever. These atmospheric shifts reach Europe too. A disrupted polar vortex can unleash the beast from the east. Intense cold and snow, especially in northern and eastern Europe. Countries like Scandinavia, Germany, Poland, and the UK could face a much harsher winter than expected. Southern Europe may stay milder and drier, but that brings its own risks for water and agriculture. The Alps could see heavy snow to the north, dry conditions to the south. The exact impact depends on how the polar vortex and high-pressure blocks set up. For now, the risk of a severe winter in Europe is much higher than it was just months ago. A colder winter affects nearly every part of life. For farmers, deep snow can protect winter crops, but late cold can delay spring planting and hurt yields. Sudden freezes in the south could damage citrus and vegetables, raising grocery prices. Travel will be tougher. More storms mean more flight delays, dangerous roads, and higher costs for cities. Shipping and supply chains could see major disruptions. Energy demand will spike, driving up heating bills and straining power grids. Blackouts become more likely during extreme cold. More time indoors can spread illness, and cold-related health risks rise. Even mental health can suffer during long, harsh winters. Being prepared, weatherizing your home, checking on neighbors, stocking up, makes a big difference. Preparation is key to getting through a tough winter safely. This winter's evolving forecast is a lesson in the unpredictability of our climate. Rapid ocean cooling and a wobbling polar vortex show how quickly things can change. These aren't failures of science, they're proof of our ability to adapt and communicate new risks. Long-range forecasts are tools, not guarantees. They evolve as the data does. Stay informed, stay flexible, and use updates to guide your preparations. A little planning now, checking your coat, your car, your home, can make a big difference. Weather will always surprise us, but understanding the drivers helps us prepare. As we brace for a colder winter, knowledge and readiness are our best defenses. Stay warm, stay safe, and keep checking in as we track this developing story together.